Why are relationships so challenging, and what can you do to become really successful at building great relationships? Hi everybody, this is Greg from Heart Tools, where we make it simple to build great relationships. And the reason why it can be so challenging to build great relationships is because relationships are complex. And like any complex set of behaviors, if you want to learn it, whether it's learning to play the guitar or learning self-defense or learning to play basketball, you have to first take all those complex behaviors and separate them out into bite-sized simple steps, practice the simple steps on their own, and then once you've mastered them, then you start combining things to develop a real mastery. The problem is no one has ever taught us how to do that with relationships, and that is what Heart Tools is all about. Learning the simple steps that we need to practice so that we can build great relationships. And in this video, I want to introduce you to the 4 different stages that you have to be able to go through in order to build a healthy, life-giving relationship. And then with each one of those stages, I'm going to break out the areas where you need to master certain skills in order to get really good at building relationships. And that'll give you a bit of the idea of the journey that you're going to be on and how far you can grow in learning to create great relationships. The first stage of relationship building is learning to love well. And if you want to love well, there are 3 different areas where you have to master sets of skills in order to do that. The first area I call emotional awareness and connection. You have to be aware of what emotions you're experiencing and what they mean, and what the emotions that the people you're in relationship with are experiencing and what they mean, and you have to be able to connect emotionally. Now, that may sound very mystical right now. I guarantee you, once you get into that, we're going to make it actually very simple to understand what your emotions are and very simple to grow in your emotional intelligence. The second area that we want to practice is what we call creating and maintaining equal value. In a healthy relationship, there is a sense that both people have equal value, and value is a non-negotiable. Value does not go up and down depending on your mood, depending on how well your day is going, and there are certain skills you can master to protect your value and to protect the value of the people that you love. And then the final area in this first stage we call equal power. You want to create and protect equal power. You don't want to be in a one-up, one-down relationship where one person has more power than the other person. That never turns out to be life-giving and sustaining. Sometimes, we get in a relationship with someone who wants to have all the power. Sometimes we get in a relationship with someone who doesn't want to have any of the power, because if they don't have power, then they're not responsible. They're not to blame when things go wrong. Neither of those create a healthy relationship. So we're going to teach you the skills you need to master to create equal power at all times in the relationship. Second stage of building great relationships to master is learning to connect deeply with the people that you care about. And there are 3 different areas where we will teach you a set of skills in order to be able to connect deeply with the people that you love. The first is learning self-disclosure. Self-disclosure can be very tricky because we all want to be known, but at the same time, none of us wants to be rejected. And we're always wondering, what if I disclose that next thing and then you reject me, but what if I don't reject it and you don't know me? So we're going to teach you some skills on how to self-disclose, but also how to kind of mitigate that risk of rejection in the midst of self-disclosure. The second area that will help you connect deeply is learning skills that will help you create shared experiences. So we're going to do a lot of fun things here that will really help you create a real sense of connection through experiences with the people you love. And then the final piece in stage 2 is feedback, learning how to give and receive feedback. so that the people that you're in a relationship know how they're impacting you, and so that you know how you're impacting them, and so that you can adjust that impact when you need to in order to keep the connection going strong. The third stage of building great relationships is learning how to journey together. There are some relationships that are really critical for your meaning in life and for getting to where you want to go in life. Marriage is a relationship like that. Your work relationship is important for helping you have your career go the direction you want to go. If you form a business partnership, decide to write a book with something, even something like joining a therapy group, right? There's a purpose for this. I'm trying to go somewhere, and these relationships, we're trying to help each other get there. And for those relationships to thrive, there are 5 sets of skills that we need to learn to master that can help in all of those kinds of journeying together relationships. The first set of skills centers around creating a shared purpose. You have to know what the purpose of this relationship is. If you're trying to go to Florida, you don't want to be handcuffed to someone who's going to California, right? That's opposite purpose. And so in all of these relationships, we need to define what the purpose is, and it's a shared purpose. It's like we're helping each other get where we want to go. The second set of skills is around creating shared values. We have to know what values are we going to use to make decisions in this relationship. And so we'll teach you skills on how to do that. And then the third one is creating shared agreements. Who's going to do what? What is it that we can count on each other to do in this relationship? And we'll teach you how to create shared agreements with that. Now, here's the problem that a lot of these stage 3 relationships get in, is that it can become so hard and overwhelming just dealing with the daily business of life, right? Dealing with the daily business of marriage, dealing with the daily business of work, that we can tend to kind of get stuck and spin our wheels. And so another skill set that we'll teach you is how to create and maintain traction in the relationship so that the relationship is always moving forward. It's always moving closer to the shared purpose and the shared vision of where you want to go in life. We'll teach you how to do that. And then finally, we're going to teach you how to do a course correct. Because one of the challenges in these shared relationships is we make agreements, and then the first thing we do is we don't live up to them, right? We start going sideways, and we need to know, how do we have conversations so that we stay on track with one another? And so we'll teach you how to do a course correct. And all 5 of these skills are really critical and will help your stage 3 relationships begin to thrive. The fourth stage of building great relationships is learning how to heal intimately. There are a few relationships in life that are just wonderful places to get healing from the wounds that we've all received on our journeys in life. And so there are 3 different areas where you'll learn different skills to help you do that. The first is learning skills to help you identify wounds. Sometimes we have a wound that's impacting a relationship and we don't even know it. So we'll teach you how to identify when a wound has popped up. The second thing is teaching skills around creating attachment, because a lot of times when our wounds pop up is actually the time we become detached, we become the least close. So we'll teach you, how do you create connection in those moments where your wound pops up? Because healing doesn't happen outside of being connected. And finally, we'll teach you skills to help you provide a healing moment. How do you just kind of create a bubble in which someone's wounds can be healed in connection with you? We'll teach you how to do that as well. Now, there are 3 principles to keep in mind as you work your way through the 4 different stages of relationship building that will really be helpful for you in creating great relationships and also avoiding a lot of pain. The first principle is sequence. You want to go through the stages sequentially. The first thing to do in a relationship is establish loving well, right? You want to establish emotional connection. You want to establish equal value and equal power. You don't want to try to go to stage 2. Stage 2 is a fun stage where you're, connecting deeply through self-disclosure and shared experience, especially, is a lot of fun, and feedback. But you don't want to try to do stage 2 with someone who can't do stage 1, who has no emotional awareness or ability to connect, or someone who does not value you equally or give you equal power, right? So stage 1 is first, then stage 2, then stage 3, and then finally stage 4. You've got to go through the 4 stages sequentially. The second principle is one of reciprocity. So what your job is in building great relationships is it's your job to master these skills and then to love people well. It's not your job to make other people love you well. It's your job to see who reciprocates. And it's the people that you love well and they can love you well and it's reciprocal. Those are the people that you want to go to stage 2 with, right? And connect deeply. And then it's your job to connect deeply. It's not your job to force someone else to connect deeply. What your job is to see who reciprocates, and then those are the people you want to go to stage 3 with, and the same with stage 4. So reciprocity is very important. It's a mistaken idea to think that you can do enough on your own to make a relationship work, even if someone else is not reciprocating. So you want to pay attention. Who's reciprocating? And then those are the people that I want to go to the next stage with. And then the third principle is the principle of amplification. And what that means is when you go to a next stage, the skills you learned at the previous stage don't become less important. They become amplified in importance, right? So if you love well, and that someone's loving you, and you go to stage 2, you don't think, oh, okay, I don't have to do that stage 1 stuff anymore. Stage 1 becomes even more important when you're at stage 2. When you go to stage 3, stage 1 becomes even more important, and stage 2 becomes more important. When you go to stage 4, it's even more critically important that you do stage 1 well, and stage 2 becomes more important, and stage 3 becomes more important. So you don't leave a stage behind. When you move on to a next stage, the other stages actually become even more important. One question I get a lot is, well, Greg, I'm already in a stage 3 relationship, and we don't do stage 1 well at all, and we barely do stage 2. What am I supposed to do? Well, the good news is it's never too late to go back and build a stronger foundation. If you learn these stage 1 skills, it will improve your marriage. It'll improve your business and work relationships. It'll improve your significant friendships. So you can go back and rebuild the foundation. If your relationships are good, they can become amazing. And if your relationships are struggling, they can also become amazing, because it's really just a matter of learning the skills to do this well. Now, as you look at these 4 stages in all the areas, it may seem overwhelming, but here's our promise. We're going to break it down into simple steps that you can practice. Simple steps, practice, practice, practice. That's what Heart Tools is all about.